The Genuinely Jenny podcast is a place for conversation, curiosity, and perspective, not professional advice. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. My opinions are my own, based on my lived experiences and ever-evolving beliefs. The views expressed by my guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect my views. I'm not a doctor, and certainly not your doctor, nor am I acting as a therapist, attorney, or financial advisor. Please use your own judgment and seek guidance from qualified professionals when making decisions about your health, relationships, finances, or other important areas of your life. Now let's get started. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Genuinely Jenny with me, your host, Jenny Elfline. Today we are talking about being authentically authentic. I don't know about you, but I feel like I hear the word authenticity all the time. And it actually is a word that is really important to me. But the way it is used these days gives me such an ick. I feel like people are using it like, I'm unapologetically me, or like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. But really, all they mean is these are words that I'm saying out loud so that people don't question me, or these are things that I'm telling myself so that I can give myself an excuse to not change and grow. I don't think real authenticity means living your truth or just doing whatever feels good. I think that real authenticity means taking a really hard, uncomfortable look, radical honesty with yourself about who you really are. Leaning into this definition of authenticity was really the turning point actually for my weight loss and in just like redefining what my life looked like, because it took me from creating this plan that I thought would work to building a system around my reality, who I really am, instead of this like fantasy world of what I wish I would be. Almost 8 years ago now, I had this like an aha moment about my weight loss. I was so freaking tired of being overweight. I just had had enough, and I just knew that something had to change. And up to that point, I had literally tried every single diet and workout program that was out there. And some of them worked for a while, and then I would lose momentum or something would happen and I would fall off. I would have excitement and then I would have burnout, but obviously it never worked. And in this moment, I realized that I was looking outside myself for answers to my problems. I was looking to other people's plans and what worked for other people, and I was trying to apply those things to me. And I was like, I will never be all of those things you have to be to make it work like that. I have to be honest if this is going to happen. It can be tricky because you see other people having success, and people will even sell. Like I see all the time people being like, that you can buy this like 1-page PDF of the exact steps I took to blah, blah, blah. But that's the exact steps they took, and that was what worked for them. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everybody else. So realizing that made such a difference in it. And it all came back to looking at the rest of my life, figuring out times in my life that I had been successful outside of weight loss and looking at what the difference was in those, because there have been plenty of times in my life that I've been successful. I've had a lot of jobs where I've had success, and then I've also had jobs where I was less successful. So I really took stock, and it was sort of interesting because I tell people this all the time, but there was this like one drive from the doctor's office to my office where all of these things just popped into my head and it all just became so clear. And in that drive, I thought all the way back to back when I was a teacher. I taught high school math for 7 years. And this is a little bit crazy to think about now, but I did it on an alternative licensure, which means that when I got my teaching job, I had never taken an education class. I was qualified because I knew math, but I had never been taught how to teach. Then I get to my job and I was literally like thrown to the wolves. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And so I just had to lean into the qualities about myself that got me the job in the first place and created my own way of teaching. I did finish the classes eventually. I got the right certification and all of that. But I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I was a pretty good teacher. I was good at teaching math, but I was also just good at like the mentorship and like the human side of things. But it all came about because I created my teaching style based on my own strengths and how I wanted it to look. Um, After that, I left teaching and I went into a career of direct sales, how a lot of people my age, what a lot of people my age have done. I sold Jamberry, which were like these vinyl nail stickers, basically. Um, and I got in with this company at a time when it was fairly new and it was really taking off. So in the beginning, I was able to just kind of like do my thing, sell the stuff. I started building a team right away. It was like really exciting. And because the company was growing so fast, like right away, there was this group of people that were, higher up than me. They grew tremendous teams, like worldwide, and they were making money hand over fist every month. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to be them. I'm like I have the same opportunity that they do. And then what would happen is they would same thing, put together this like plan, like this is exactly how I grow my team, this is exactly how I work with my team, this is exactly how I run my parties to maximize sales and get new leads and new parties. And it literally became a script, especially because a lot of it was online. It was like a script, like first you're going to make this post with this graphic, and then you're going to make this post with this graphic. And as time went on, I think I did Jamberry for like, I don't know, 2, 3 years, something like that. But as time went on, I became less and less of myself. I was trying so hard to copy what other people were doing because I was like, certainly that means I'll be able to make the same amount of money that they are. But the exact opposite happened. The further I went from being myself and doing what was comfortable, the less money I made and the more burnout I had, up to the point where it was like pointless to even be doing it anymore. And I had to find yet another career. And that was when I got into real estate. I really had no idea what I was doing. I am so fortunate that I partnered up with someone who ended up being one of my best friends. We had never met, but she was a mom, I was a mom, and we decided to do it together. And one of the things we kind of just naturally talked about right away is that we weren't comfortable doing things the way other people did, like going to like luncheon mixers and meeting people and doing like sales pitches or doing cold calls and things like that. We weren't comfortable with that. And I already knew at that time, like, I have to do this my way. I had learned my lesson from my Jamberry experience of what I definitely didn't want to be professionally. I didn't want to try to be a copy and paste of someone else. And she also didn't want to do that. And our business grew and developed, and we have had almost a decade of success strictly doing it our way. So that day that I had that weight loss aha moment, all of those things just became so clear. I am successful when I am true to myself, and I'm not successful when I try to be someone else. So then the next thing I had to think about was, well, what does that even mean for weight loss? Because I've never seen success in weight loss. So what am I supposed to do? I don't have anything to go off of. I knew I needed a plan. I needed the perfect strategy, but I needed the perfect strategy for me. So I got really brutally honest with things I realistically will do and won't do, things that had worked in the past, things that hadn't worked in the past, and why those things worked and didn't work. When I looked at the things that worked for me, I knew that I had had a short stint with a super low carb diet. It was like back in the days of Atkins. I knew that was short term, but I was very successful. I lost weight really fast on a low carb diet. So I knew that there had to be something there, that the low carb diet worked for me. I knew that I need a little bit of instant gratification to keep me moving forward, especially in those early days when it was really hard. And because I knew I had a really long way to go, I needed some sort of instant gratification. So I needed something that was going to work fast. I wasn't going to do anything unhealthy. Obviously, that would be really stupid if I wanted this to be like the time when everything changed. But I knew that I was going to have to do something that worked fast and then figure out how to turn that into a sustainable plan later. I also knew that I needed something that was going to be very specific and pretty structured and rigid, but I got to make the rules. I I am not someone who's good with everything in moderation. I'm not good with like a lot of flexibility or eh, things being open to interpretation. I need to know that like this is exactly what I'm doing. And if I get to be the one to make the list of these are all the things that I'm doing, then I know that I'm way more likely to stick to it. I knew that I could not keep junk food in the house or the things that were like my trigger foods or whatever, like sweets and candies and stuff like that. I had kids, and so that was kind of hard to navigate for a while, but I knew that I just could not have those things in the house. I knew that like I said, I needed something with some instant gratification because I knew from the past that when I had done diets of, like the everything in moderation and, watching just counting calories or something like that, that I would see some progress, like, but it would be slow. And because of that slow movement, it was really difficult to stay motivated. I know motivation doesn't really have much to do with it, but nonetheless, I needed something that was going to make me stick to it, and slow moving was not going to be it. I also knew that I needed something that wasn't going to be pass or fail. Like I needed structure, but I needed something that wasn't going to be like, if you do this one time, then you've failed. Because if you've listened in the past, failure is not a great thing to me. It does not make me feel good. So if there's even an option for failure and I get to that, it's going to take a hit on me. And I knew I couldn't take a chance of that. In an ideal world, I would be able to be someone who just generally eats right and works out regularly, everything in moderation, and be able to be a healthy weight. But unfortunately, that's just not me. And I have to make my plans. I have to, I have to make my plans based on real behavior rather than ideal behavior. I think that that is actually true for a lot of people, that you'll have way more success if you make plans and build habits based on reality instead of dream world. People consistently overestimate their future selves. I still like, I do this. I always am like, that's a problem for future Jenny, because if it's something like, I don't want to do that right now, or like the classic adult example, right? Is like, I'll get gas in the morning and then the morning comes and you're like, F my life. I don't want to have to go get gas. I should have just done that last night. But I think that that's just something that we think that we're going to have more self control in the future than we can have now. But that's just really not true. I think it actually has a name. It's like the planning fallacy or something like that. And there's this like optimism bias around that. Like everything is going to be great in the future. It's not great right now and I can't do it right now, but in the future, I definitely will be able to. And turns out all these years later, my plan worked. And looking back at it, I do believe that it was because of authenticity, that I was brutally honest with myself about what I was willing to do and what I wasn't willing to do. And it turns out that a lot of those things are still true about me today. So I made the right choice. The other day, we went to see the new Spider-Man movie, and I love M&Ms. Plain M&Ms, I think, are just the most delicious, cheap garbage candy in the world. And at the movie, they only have the like bigger shareable size. And so I was like, okay, I really want them. I need to not eat the whole bag of them, but so I'm just gonna I'm gonna get them and I'm gonna eat half and then I'm gonna save half for another day. Baloney. I ate the whole freaking thing because that's just who I am. Even up to then, I definitely, if it was important to me in that moment, I should have not got the M&Ms at all. I knew I wanted to have them. I am at a point where I can live my life a little bit more normally now. So I got the M&Ms, but I ate the M&Ms. So back then when I made the decision that I had to keep all the candy out of the house, it was a good choice because reality me is going to eat the entire bag of M&Ms. And it's kind of interesting when you do get real with yourself, because it seems like it might be like a sense of relief to like understand, but it's actually it can be overwhelming and it's kind of embarrassing. Like admitting that still today I do not have the self-control to not eat an entire shareable bag of M&Ms. That's embarrassing. but it is true. I can say it out loud now, but there was a long time where I didn't want to think that that could be something that's true about me. But the truth is that authenticity is really not a comfortable thing. I think that social media makes it seem like authenticity is this like free feeling, like free to be me. But really, all that is some sort of like outward expression of nobody challenge me because I'm doing exactly what I need to do or exactly what I want to do. Real authenticity is looking inside and being like, do I actually want to do that? Like challenging your own behavior and your own thoughts. Why am I doing that? Is that the right thing? And when I say outward, I don't just mean like posting, I mean like in our actual like habits and the way we act. I think there's like two versions of authenticity out there. There's the one that gives me the ick, that's like the trendy authenticity that gets shared in posts. And then I think there's the real one that's the inward looking authenticity. And the social media one is like the whole I'm unapologetically me. But the harder inward looking version of it is, well, this is how I've been acting, but am I wrong? Is this something that I need to change about myself? Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but taking that moment to really think about it. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Well, maybe I do need to care what other people think a little bit and hear what they're saying about me and take that in and then have the right to make the decision if I agree with it or if it's something I do need to change about myself. I'm protecting my peace, so I'm doing all these things. Okay, I am all in on that. Like protecting your peace and setting boundaries. I think that those are wonderful things. But does protecting your peace mean that you're just avoiding conflict? That was definitely me for a long time. It was like, I'm not going to get into conflicts with people because I'm just protecting my peace. It's better for me. But sometimes you have to have the hard conversations. Another thing with setting boundaries, like it's so easy and that's like everywhere, right? Setting boundaries is everywhere. But part of setting boundaries is accepting the fact that sometimes when you do that, you are going to hurt other people and being okay with it. Or if you're not okay with it, then is that a boundary that is really that important to you? This one gets me all the time, giving yourself grace. I am all for giving grace. I'm for giving myself grace and I'm all for giving other people grace. But we have to be honest and say, if I'm giving myself grace, am I actually just making an excuse to not do what I know I need to do? Another one is listening to your body and doing what feels good for you. Yes, that is true. If you are injured, you need to listen to your body. If you're dehydrated or you're tired, you need to listen to your body. But sometimes my body tells me that I need to eat an entire bag of shareable M&Ms, and that is not the right thing for me. That's not the right thing for my values. There's no scenario in this world where I needed to eat that entire bag of shareable M&Ms. Half a bag was more than sufficient. But my body said, eat the whole thing. Another one is rejecting society's expectations. I do. That is definitely where I lean in life. I do not like to be told what to do. But am I doing it just because I'm being a slave to my own ideals? Are there some things about what society is saying that we should do or we shouldn't do that we do need to consider, and some things that we need to throw in the garbage? And even to the point of like, do what makes you happy. Like, you always need to do what makes you happy. Yes, I think that we all need to be like living a life where we're happy. But there's a difference between doing what makes you feel happy right now and doing what will make you feel happy in the long run. There's a difference between doing what feels good right now and what is actually good for your life. So just do what makes you happy. Is that, and maybe the answer is yes. Like there's not right or wrong answers about this, but real authenticity is taking a second to consider that. Am I doing what makes me happy in this moment, or am I doing what makes me happy because it's in line with my values? It's much easier to conform to the easier thought, and that's other people's thoughts, and it's our own thoughts that we have developed that are actually just excuses to just never grow. I read this experiment that was about how people in a group knowingly gave wrong answers just because they were in a group and that was the easier thing to do. I think that we do that all the time because thinking independently can be uncomfortable. And like, I like to think about it like this, like my whole life, I've had these like thoughts that kind of run down my brain pathways and like have created this like a ditch. And I just, every time I have a thought, it like wants to go down this ditch. And as soon as I start to challenge that, I have to go like, up up back into the dirt and like forge this new path. And my brain doesn't want to do that. My brain wants to just go like here, here, here. Like this is what is natural and this is where I want to go. But going this way feels uncomfortable and it takes some practice. And I don't think we always feel like we want to practice that. I kind of started to wonder if authenticity is something that we're born with, that the world kind of takes away, or if it's something that we have to learn how to do or to be, and we never really get the opportunity to do it, or we don't take the opportunity to do it. Like, are we born with it and we suppress it? Years and years of just being surrounded by other people's opinions about us, all the way starting in our childhood. And that's when we're most sensitive to like what other people think about us. And that's when we start to develop our own thoughts about ourselves. So like, where is the point where we just independently get to decide what we think about life? We have so much practice conforming to other people and to our own preconceived notions of things that we lose the opportunity to be honest with ourselves. And on that note, I would like to introduce our first guest. She is one of the most insightful people I know. She is an old soul. She is one of my favorite humans in the entire world, and she's definitely my favorite 13-year-old in the entire world, my daughter Ellie. Over the last year, Ellie has been doing her own social experiment because we pulled her out of public school and we brought her into not homeschool, but school at home. She's doing an online program. And we were very nervous about pulling her out because she is a very social little person. But it's been really interesting to see actually how she has grown, even socially, how she's grown. And we've actually had several conversations having to do with like identity and being yourself that have, she helps me grow. And so her opinions on things have kind of helped me transform my own thoughts about what authenticity can and should look like. So let's bring her in. Hi, Ellie.
Hi.
Thanks for joining.
Of course.
We are talking about authenticity today, and that is why I wanted to bring you on, because I know that you and I have a lot of great conversations about this, right? Yes. So what does authenticity mean to you?
Someone who I guess really isn't afraid to be who themselves. They don't really need it for clout, and they don't really need it for just to make them seem cooler than they are. Just someone who can be themselves.
Yeah. So when you were still in school, did you feel like you were always authentic?
No, definitely not. No. I kind of had to not really just put on a little thin mask of just someone who I truly am, and had to be more appealing to other people, because it's if you're in school for so many hours each day, then you have to make friends, so it's not every single day is awful and miserable. So you want to make friends, and to make friends you need to be the best person you can be, even if that's not really who you are.
Right. I get. Okay. So I know we've talked about this a lot now these days, but I don't know that this is something that you thought about before. But before you started doing homeschool, did you ever think about that difference? Did you feel like there was a difference between the person you were at school or with other people and the person that you were at home?
I don't really think I thought about it when I was in school. I think I now can see it and understand that I was doing it, because I think it was for so many years just doing it and doing it. It became a normal to me, and it became less of something I had to really try to do. So I just got used to it. Didn't really ever think about it in school.
So the more normal version of you was the conforming version, right? That felt more normal to conform, or maybe not even conform, because I feel like you're not a conforming person.
No.
But okay, tell me if this is true. You have this big personality, right? And people love that about you.
Yeah.
You're a little crazy. Do you feel like there was part of you that had to be not crazy in a way that you were disruptive or anything, but do you feel like you had to be it's the Ellie show?
Yeah, definitely. I had to put on a massive, like, show and be like, "Whoa!" to, like, get people's attention and to, like, have the attention stay on me. And I'm definitely a more extroverted person, but I think I'm a more, like, a part of me is a little bit more of, like, an observer and then talking,
Mhm.
but then I felt like I had to just talk, 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 talk because I was like, "I'm Ellie, and I do a lot of this, and I do a lot of this, and I'm super extravagant." But I am extravagant, I know that about myself, but just in, like, a different way where I don't need attention all the time.
Right. So you were telling me something last night actually about like something that you've discovered in your homeschool process.
Mhm.
What was that? Tell me about that.
I guess that feeling, like, I never truly hated myself,
Mhm.
but there wasn't so much, like, self-love. It was just like, this is me, who I am. I'm a person, and I just do my things as a person, but it wasn't like, "Oh, I like who I am as a person." But I guess now that I'm homeschooled, I feel like I have been allowed more time to think and explore who I truly am,
Mhm.
and that helps me, like, discover and be like, "Oh, wait, I actually kinda like myself."
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you just said that you're like, okay, so you said you were like allowed more time to do this,
Mm.
but like I feel like it's not even like being allowed more time always. It's like allowing yourself to like take an opportunity to like think about what you want to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So this is what I would like, this is kind of how I think of it. And it all happens so fast, right? It's not like you like sat down and you were like, you know what? I'm going to think about who do I want to be now that I'm homeschooled? Like you just
Yeah.
have thoughts and they go through
Uh-huh.
fast, right? But I feel like authenticity is like receiving all of this information and then like this is something that I have Ellie do when we are at a grocery store or like at any sort of store and she's like, I think I want to buy this. Like she buys her own stuff, she has her own card. Like she'll be like, really think I want this. And like sometimes there's stuff that I'm like, I already can imagine like you maybe don't really care about it that much. I don't know if you want it. So what something that I have her do is like take it and put it in her cart or just like carry it around and then like once she's had a minute to like sit with it to decide like do I really want this or not?
Mhm.
And I feel like that's authenticity too. Is
Yeah.
like giving yourself a minute to be like here's this information. I'm going to like sit with it instead of just being like this is what all my friends say or like in like adult world like this is what my like political gang like this is what they all feel about something. So I have to just feel that too because it's like the easier way to do or like I've always thought this way and so it's easier to just think this way, but authenticity takes like an extra beat to like hold on to it and be like, do I think that or do I not think that? Damn it, I don't think that. Oh, it was going to be like so much easier if I could just think what I always think,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And then you get to put it back.
You have to put it
You didn't
back.
waste your money on it.
Nope.
Yep. Do you think that giving yourself the freedom to be who you really are feels scary or comfortable or both?
Um, I mean, at sometimes maybe it could be scary because it's like a part of like existing is just kind of worrying about what other people think about you. And that can be a negative thing, like always worrying about that. But like you do just kind of have to worry about that. And it's like can be helpful because if someone thinks like what you're doing is wrong, then it's just wrong. Like, you know that.
I'm laughing because she's so right. And she didn't hear me earlier in what I recorded. She hasn't seen my notes. She had no idea what I was going to what I talked about earlier.
So, what did you talk about earlier?
I said like almost those exact words.
Lifetime. This is what happens every single day.
This is what
This
happens
stuff.
every single day. I think that we have, what is it called? Like, we like this show called Manifest. What is it called? Oh, collective consciousness.
Yes.
I think that Ellie and I are in a collective consciousness. I swear, I didn't even ask her to do this until like I got home from the gym and I was like thinking about today I needed to record this. And I was thinking about our conversation and I was like, oh, I thought would be cool. And I actually told her, I was like, let's not talk about it a lot because I want to have a real conversation when we're recording it. Crazy.
Crazy.
You is me and me is you.
Oh.
Okay, here's another question for you, Elle. Who are the people in your life that you feel like you can be yourself the most around, and why?
Obviously you, because like we were just talking about 5 seconds ago, just how we're like the same almost. So it's easier, someone who's so similar to you can like help understand different things, because like yes, you're a different person, but like you're still so similar to me. So if I'm like having troubles, then like you can like maybe relate to them, or and you can like help me with that kind of stuff. So you, Soph, which I like, she's just like a favorite person, and she has so much of just like different understanding
Totally.
of like,
She's very different from
yeah.
you. So it's like what you were just saying, that
Mhm.
like sometimes it's good to like be around other people and hear other people's opinions,
Mhm.
because it's good to hear what when people disagree with you, or when
Yeah.
people think that you're wrong or whatever. And like the scary part is having someone that like that in your life that can challenge your thinking, but
Mhm.
you have to be like open to letting it happen. So you have to like open to letting yourself feel afraid and uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then last, well, actually maybe second to last, Daddy, he's just like, he's like similar to you, but then especially if it's something that like you might not relate to, like as a female compared to like a male stance, like he can understand that like male point of view, and like that can definitely help with that. And last of all, my best friend, she's like a peer, and she's like my age, and we've had a lot of the same experiences, and just like us being same age, like we can understand that with each other.
Yep, I agree. And knowing the friend that you're talking about, she is a lot like you
Mhm.
also. Like, since Ellie was born, like, I tell her all the time, like, she's a lot. Like, people say that in like a bad way, like, she's a lot, or people are like, I'm a lot, I'm too much to handle. Like, Ellie's a lot, and her a lotness is like my favorite thing. Like, never stop being less than a lot, right?
Yeah.
You're my joyful noise.
Yep.
Okay, here's another question for you. What is something that you appreciate about yourself now that maybe you didn't appreciate when you were younger or when you were in school?
Um, maybe like my I don't know, maybe my like able to tell you when you are wrong, and like you're wrong and here are the reasons why, or like being able to be that person who like doesn't like, I want to please people at the same time, but at the same time it's if I want to like, if they're doing something maybe that's like bad for them or it's dangerous, like I can say that and I can do that. And I didn't really ever notice that about myself like in school and like when I was younger, is that I'm one who is able to say like you're wrong and this is why, and like not be afraid to.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I think that I think it's important to be able to have relationships where you can tell someone that they're wrong, and knowing that they can hear it, and they can tell you that you're wrong and you can hear it,
Mhm.
and then you can grow, and then you can know that you both still love each other even though you think that they were wrong about something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good quality. I like that. And you do that because you tell me that I'm wrong about a lot of things a
A
lot
lot
of
of things,
time.
and a lot of the time I'm wrong, and a lot of times not that much time because you're the most correct person. That's a joke.
I know. We actually both feel like we're right about most things.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times in our life, we are like a volcano.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? How does that saying go? When
Um.
a tornado meets a volcano, that is us a lot of times,
Yeah.
because we both feel that we're right
Mm-hmm.
and are also mostly right.
And we hate being wrong,
We do both hate being wrong, but we're
but that's because we're just like usually right. So it's like you just like aren't used to it.
right. It works out for us. I know that I do know, because you share with me that you like homeschooling, but is there anything that you do miss around about, not necessarily just about like being with people at school all day or like the school environment, but is there anything that you miss about like hearing other people's opinions of you, or not even, because I don't even think like a lot of stuff I don't think people actually say out loud, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
people are not going to be like, Ellie, I don't like this thing about you, but it's more of like our own perceived notion that people won't like us if we are authentic and genuine. But is there anything that you miss about like the knowing that there are other opinions about you out there because you're surrounded by more people?
Sometimes I guess I miss like other people's opinions, but not really. I think there's one thing, like there's a few things I do miss like about now homeschooled compared to back then, is like kind of like that freedom, which I'm not saying like I'm like chained to like a desk every single day, but it's just like that ability to like, since like times when I'm by myself, like I can like make a decision like where do I want to go sit today, instead of it being like I'm in my house. It's like those kind of little things of the like freedom of it all.
Yeah, like
Which
being able to practice your autonomy, like, ooh, getting big here. Practice your autonomy. Like, I get a choice of like, do I want to eat over there for lunch or over there for lunch or over there for lunch? Am I going to hang out with this group or this group or this group? There's not really like those kinds of options.
No, it's like you and then or by myself.
Outside, inside,
inside.
maybe with Mochi.
Maybe with Mochi, yes.
That's their dog, is Mochi. All right, now I'm going to let you ask me questions.
Ooh.
All right?
Okay. Did adults ever make you feel like your opinions weren't valid?
Every single moment of every single day. Always. Until now. No, okay. I was literally told always, like, you'll understand when. So, and then even like as an adult and as a parent, I was told like, you'll understand when you're a grandparent. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just never know.
Yep.
I just don't ever get to know. My opinions don't matter ever.
It's like, this might be a bad example, but it's like, no, you don't get to know what makes macaroni and cheese until you're this certain age. And it's like, but I don't get it. Why can't I just know what mac and cheese is now?
Right.
Like, okay.
Yeah. And I think hopefully I treat you and so different.
Yeah.
Because I think that even though you guys are young, your experiences and your opinions about things are valid. Your perspective might not be the same as mine because I've lived a lot more experiences, but you've lived your experiences and you're the only one that's lived your experiences. So how you feel about things matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. What do you wish you'd known about yourself at my age?
Ooh. I think I wish that I would have trusted that I was enough, that my opinions were valid, that I was really smart and that I was funny and that I was a good friend. I mostly just felt like I was invisible. And I wanted to also be invisible. So I think that I wish that I would have trusted that I was good enough and that the world wanted me just as I was.
What do you think I care too much about?
You know, that is the interesting with you because you are one of the most empathetic people that I know. And so sometimes I think you think too much about other people's feelings, not like what they think of you, but like how other people are experiencing their own feelings about a situation. I think a lot of times you worry too much about their feelings and not enough about your feelings. Your first grade teacher, actually, like I always knew that you were a very empathetic person, but your first grade teacher, the first time I met with her after she got to know you, she said, "Be careful, Mama. That's an empathetic girl, and that can be really heavy for a kid." And I see that in you often, that you'll cry because someone else is sad, like regularly. And it's a good thing, but I do think that sometimes I do worry for you also sometimes. Yeah.
What do you care too much about?
Well, I would say it's the thing that I'm working on the most, which is trying to just do everything right and perfectly all the time. So I recognize that about myself now. And so I am trying to actively work on that, to just kind of go with the flow. And what are my actual values? And am I doing things that are in line with my values?
It's like, I don't know, like making us like clean out a closet. Like, guests are coming over and it's like, why are they going to go in my room? Get them out of my room. I don't want them in there.
First of all, we don't have guests.
We don't have guests
mostly
anymore.
Don't like people. And our only friends moved, so. But I don't think I make you clean out closets for other people. I
Yeah.
make you clean out closets because they get out of control, and then you end up wearing the same 3 shirts because you can't find the rest of your shirts.
See? You know, you can cut this out. But it's like that. There's a little pot right there.
Oh, my
And we went to this place where we can paint pots and like different stuff. It's so fun. And she was like writing right there, genuine wellness, and she accidentally just screwed up like a little bit, and the text doesn't look perfect. And then for that entire rest of the time we were painting, she was like, "Oh, I wish I didn't do that. Oh, I wish I didn't do that." And both me and my sister, we were like, "It's fine. Looks cute. It's good."
It's supposed to look imperfect. What's the point of making something if it looks like you bought it at a store?
Yep.
Yes. Yep. I
Yep.
know that. That is true. That is true. Okay, I have a question for you. Do you think that I am authentic?
I think you're authentic. Like, yes. But, say you're making a video,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want there to be, like, bad lighting or, like, trash on, like, a counter, which, like, that makes sense, like, trash on the counter, like, just, like, get rid of that. But it's, like, certain situations where you feel like that has to be perfect. So, I do think you're authentic, like, in yourself and your stories, but I don't think that you're authentic in that kind of, like, whenever you're posting videos and you feel like you have to make it look perfect.
Aesthetics matter.
Aesthetics do matter, but at the same time,
You're right.
in that sense, not really authentic.
You're making it sound like we have a disgusting, dirty trash house.
No,
And I'm
we don't.
and I'm hiding the truth of our trash house.
No. I'm just saying sometimes it's like make sure it's have to be perfect, even if it's something like sunlight. There's no trash over all of our counters.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you clarified. Do you think though that I am authentic in terms of like my beliefs and my values and speaking my truth?
Yes, 100%. I think you're authentic in that.
Okay, good. Then
And I'm not just doing that to please you.
You never do anything just to please.
Nope.
All right. I think we about covered it. Thanks for joining today, Elle.
Of course.
You know I'm going to have you back. We got a
I
lot
know.
of stuff
We
to
got
talk about.
a lot of stuff to talk about.
High five.
Boom.
Isn't she the cutest? I just love her. I think it's so funny that like one of her main takeaways was the thing that I feel the most about it, that authenticity isn't isolation from other people's opinions. It's not the whole idea of being unapologetically me, or I don't care what anybody thinks, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do what makes me feel happy and to hell with everything else. It's being able to take all of those other perspectives and remembering that sometimes other people know things that you don't and they can give you that. But then at the end of the day, you get to take your own perspective and their perspectives and you get to pick it apart and put it back together. And then the choice is yours. The sometimes uncomfortable and sometimes scary choice is still yours to decide who you actually are going to be and how you're actually going to show up. And part of the reason why I wanted to bring her on here to share is just I feel really proud of her that she was able to recognize that by removing a lot of that social noise, she gave herself the time and the space to hear herself. And I think as adults, there's a lot of noise that we need to either quiet out or we need to listen with a different filter, listen to what people say, not so that we conform to it or try to be what other people want us to be, not so that we ignore it, but so that we listen so that we can take it in as input so that we make our own best decisions. I think some of that noise can be from our parents when we were growing up. It could be our friends, coworkers. It could just be ideas like people your age should do this, or like successful people always do this and this, and if that doesn't feel right to you, then don't do it. That you won't be successful because you do what other successful people do all the time. Sometimes, more often than not, you're going to be successful if you do the right thing for you. And maybe in the end, authenticity isn't actually learning how to become yourself. Maybe it's learning how to distinguish your own voice out of all the other voices that have been accumulated along the way. Maybe sometimes authenticity requires doing the opposite of what feels natural and building those new pathways. Society tends to present authenticity as expressing yourself without worrying about what your audience thinks. But I think the real question is, who are you when there's no audience there at all? Thanks for joining us, and I can't wait to talk to you guys next time. Bye.